Exciting news today. I'd like to introduce you to our new star recruit to the Fresh Faces team, Tiffany Fraser.
Hello.
Welcome.
So good to be here. It's all very
exciting.
It is, definitely.
So for those of you that don't know Tiff has been working as a cosmetic nurse injector for over 20 years now, is that
23.
Right? 23 years.
Ooh.
She doesn't look any one of those. She could just be 23. So we just wanted to introduce you and say she's going to be working here pretty much as of now, and we're super excited to have her on board. She's going to be a great addition to the team. What we're going to do is we're going to talk about tox today. We're going to do some fun things about tox, and as soon as I can.
Yeah.
So what we thought we'd do is talk a little bit about tox, maybe some myths, questions people ask us. So if you've got any questions for us, just send them to us on the screen and we will do our best to actually look at our screens. You can be responsible for your screen.
Okay.
And I'll be responsible for mine.
So I've got the lovely Jemima and Lily on at the moment. Hi guys, thanks for joining us. Any questions, throw them through.
And the same goes for all of you guys in our Instagram. So there's a few different brands of Dysport out in the world these days. There's actually 3 of which are commercially available in Australia. I'm not sure if we're allowed to actually mention them by the TGA.
I think what we just best say, 3 brands available in Australia at the moment. Let's call them brands 1, 2 and 3.
Brands 1, 2 and 3, yes.
Just so we don't get into trouble by the higher beings for mentioning names.
So we're not so for those of you that don't know, there's very strict regulations about what we can say and what we can't say in any promotional environment, which I suppose we've got to consider this. Brand 1 has been the one that came out first and has got a very famous name associated with it.
I think it starts with a B.
It may do. It could start with any letter of the alphabet. Let's be honest, because we don't want to certainly cause any prejudice.
No.
And so there's lots of myths out there. This one's better than this one. This one won't work on me. I've tried this one, and this one was better. So Tiff, you've worked with 2 of those 3 brands.
3 of them actually.
You've actually worked with all 3, have you?
I have, yep.
So in your experience, is there much difference in terms of what happens to the client between each of the 3 brands?
Look, to be honest with you, and again, this is in my opinion only, I think the result at the end of the day comes down to correct placement and correct dosage. You get either of those 2 wrong and you're going to fall into the category of the client not being happy with the end result. So one of the particular brands that we use here at Fresh Faces, I do believe the onset is a lot quicker. Longevity is exactly the same with all 3, I personally believe. However, I do think that with the one that we use here, it kicks in a little bit quicker than the other 2, and I'm all about getting in there quick when I have a jab. Hi, Danny.
Botulinum toxin is actually a really interesting thing. Like a lot of things, it was developed for nefarious means. It was actually developed, so it exists in nature. It's generated by a bacterium called Clostridium botulinum, and it's a toxin made by the particular cell, and it's been originally developed by the US government in the Second World War to act as a poison. They had a secret plan to poison the Japanese with botulinum toxin. Isn't it bad to put toxins into your body? And I think that's a very fair question.
Absolutely.
And it's a question that we get often. People sort of have an innate kind of fear because it's got the word toxin in it as well, like tox.
Can't have that.
Yeah, can't have that.
So we thought we'd toss around some other things that are in our environment and that we habitually put into our bodies that are also toxins, and explain how a little bit is often beneficial.
Can I say the quote that I found that I thought was really cool? All things are poisons and there is nothing that is harmless. The dose alone decides that something is no poison.
Literally,
that's Paracelsus. Said that.
So one of the things that has come up in medicine recently, and certainly in my hospital practice, and something that you won't believe is toxic, is actually oxygen. So oxygen makes up about 21% of our atmosphere, and in that amount it's perfect and it's okay. And the moment you start delivering high concentrations of oxygen, it becomes toxic to your brain, it becomes toxic to your heart, So you can just see dose is what dictates
However good
toxicity.
for a hangover, apparently.
Yeah. So people who send you, you see things on the TV about oxygen tents and this and that and the other. They're all rubbish and they're all poisonous, so don't do it. Okay, safety first.
Well, I was told back in my beauty days that, you need to use antioxidants and stuff because reactive oxidative species is bad. So if you were in a room with no oxygen, you would die within X amount of minutes.
Not right, it would be pretty unpleasant too.
Not a good way to
but
go.
if you were at 100% oxygen, it wouldn't be much longer.
No, you'd actually probably start to, at 100% O2, you can tolerate it for small periods, but then the oxygen develops what we call free radicals, which I always imagine in these little molecules with kind of red headbands running around.
Oh, they definitely have red headbands.
Yeah, 100%, and they're very injurious and they cause pain and suffering.
But this is where it all comes down to whatever we're talking about.
Yeah.
It's dosage.
100%.
And of what we were talking about before, everyone's got some Panadol in their drug cupboard.
Yeah.
You can buy it in Coles and Woolworths, Anna. So you take it in the therapeutic dose, which is potentially 2 tablets for 4 hours.
Yeah.
It's going to give you a therapeutic result. Okay, it's just like the toxins we're talking about here. If we use the right dose, it's going to give us the results we want. Anything more than that, you can.
12 grams of paracetamol is potentially fatal.
Yep.
Well, actually less. It depends on your body weight. So the toxic dose of paracetamol is 150 milligrams per kilogram. And the reason I know that is that we encounter this a lot in hospital practice. But essentially 1 box of paracetamol with 20 tablets in it is 10 grams. And if you're little, if you weigh like 50 kilos, which a lot of people do, that's enough to be potentially fatal.
Toxic.
Yeah. So that's another thing. Lisa came up with water. Water is actually a toxic.
Yeah, water.
Yeah, water.
So we were recommended to drink 2 to 3 litres a day.
Yeah.
Whereas I think 6, I could be wrong, it's just a little bit of Google research.
Good old Google.
But 6 litres can cause some damage.
Okay, yeah, it does depend. It does depend very much again on your body weight. So the first time we really started to seriously see water toxicity, as a medical profession, was back when ecstasy first came out, and these young clubbers would be going off and drinking large and large amounts of water because they'd been told dehydration is potentially injurious, and they developed water toxicity. And that's something that can happen for people who are exercising a lot, and particularly in the heat. You're sweating out a saline solution, amongst other things. If you just drink too much water, you'll dilute your plasma, and it will you'll get then brain swelling, and then you'll start to have seizures, and then you'll die. So water can be toxic too. And the other one that I came up with, which is a fan favourite, and probably friend to a lot of people in the early evening, is alcohol or a glass of wine.
No.
Unbelievably, yes, it's a poison. Alcohol, ethanol is classed as a poison. In small amounts, it can make you feel really quite good and slightly disinhibited. Larger amounts, it's a depressant to your brain. And then in even larger amounts, it's potentially fatal. And I've seen that in my hospital practice. So those are just some examples of toxins that are in our environment.
Everyday life.
Everyday
as
life,
well.
yeah.
That in moderation. I think everything's about moderation too.
Absolutely.
100%. Okay, so I think that's anything else?
Clinical papers are now coming out that with a placebo and a tox, 51% of the tox treated patients reported an improvement in their mood.
Yeah. So lots of things are toxins.
Stress.
They don't have to be. The term toxin is misleading, and they can be beneficial in small amounts. Remember, dose is everything. A little bit of something is great. Too much is dangerous.
And I think the other thing too is to remember that it is a prescription medication and it is to treat certain indications, and you need to have a proper consultation with a physician and be treated by somebody trained to administer it as well, and that you're getting it for the right reasons. So
yeah, 100%. So I think with that, we're going to say adios. Be safe with whatever you do, and have a great week.
Yep.
Okay.
Have a great weekend, everyone. See you next week.
Okay.
See ya.
Switching off.